Well, welcome back to Political Paradigm. I'm now joined by a former member of the House of Representatives, who was a member of the People's Democratic Party, Honorable Tajuddin Yusuf. Welcome to Political Paradigm.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations on your convention. I recall that you had dismissed the Ibadan convention, describing it as a social gathering, if I recall correctly. You said that INEC's presence was not there, and then the proper notice wasn't served. In fact, you said there was no convention at all. So I think this is one of those cases of I told you so. Even though the Turaki-led group are in court, at the Supreme Court, to fight that appeal court backing of the lower court. But what do you make of the success of this convention?
I wish we didn't get to this level where we'll have people who will be seen as losers. I wish we were able to resolve this matter before we got to this level. But unfortunately, because they have a sneaky agenda, and so they refuse to allow raw voice of reasoning to prevail. Before the Ibadan Jamboree, I will give names of those who went around. The Wabara Board of Trustees set up a team, Hassan, Mrs. Kuri, about 7 of them. They went around the other side to hear their opinion. And they came out and said, no, these people have a legitimate ground. Why we should not go to Ibadan? It was the Ibadan group that set up this committee. And they said, come, why don't you hold on? Saraki joined, Abba Omuru, Osun State Governor joined, appealing that we should not do the Ibadan Convention because of these legal equilibrances. Let's set up a caretaker committee from both sides. Let's bring four persons. So I will have a movement of, coming down, nerves, but ego prevail over. People just felt that you could just give order and things will happen that way. Hey, even when we're in government, the president still find a way to appeal to people. We're in opposition. You just woke up. People remember the High Court judgment in Abuja, the 2 High Court judgments. But people forget that in 2024, there were 2 court judgments in the Southeast, notifying the Southeast Zonal Congress, another one other state Congress. That was not appealed. So as at 2025, it was status bar. So on that, and the Federal High Court judgment in Abuja, you still went to Ibadan. And I reminded them that in 2016, we were in this same situation. We were in Port Harcourt physically to do a convention. We now got this court judgment, and wisdom prevailed that we should not do the convention. But somebody is saying that, just somebody. That's why, like, no, I must do it. If we were already in Port Harcourt 2016, we held our breath and set up a critical committee to midwife that process and bring everybody on board. That's what will have happened. Unfortunately, they didn't list it.
But from your perspective, what was the issue that was at stake, which was perhaps the reason why the convention should not have held?
14 states, Judge Omotoso listed it very clear. Our constitution and policy of the party say you do world congresses, local government congresses, state congress before the national convention. 14 states, congress has not been conducted. You are going to disenfranchise them if you go to Ibadan. So that was what was taken to court. And the court said, PDP, go and do these congresses before your convention. The court did not say you can't do convention. But they went to market and said, no, because of these people that... The next day, after that judgment, they started suspending people for going to court to ask that you do the right thing. That's suspending people.
So I think I can safely say you are at the point where you are confident that going to the Supreme Court will not yield anything in their favor.
If it is not in this country where people believe that they can try anything with the judiciary, how will you go to court when the court say, do not do, and you went ahead? A court judgment say don't. You now went to a state high court, a federal high court too, gave judgment against you go to Ibadan. You now went to a state high court to procure what I call Jankara interlocutory injunction. You know, a judgment is arrived when both parties argue their case. But it just means that you say my right will be free on. Can you hold on for 14 days? On the straight line, you went to Ibadan to conduct. After the Ibadan Jamboree, you now went to a federal high court in Ibadan to seek order of mandamus that you should be recognized by INEC. The same, that federal high court you went to now said your Ibadan was a Jamboree and gave order for INEC to recognize the caretaker committee that emerged via the side of the So with all this, okay, 9 cases were compressed in the appeal court. You lost all 9. The appeal against the Ibadan High Court that recognized the Abdul Abdis, you appeal, the court now say, Court of Appeal in Nigeria is one. Enugu is one court of appeal. 9 cases were adjourned a few days ago. Rather than going into this again, why don't you just go back and talk to yourself? They went that the court say status quo should remain. The court did not vacate High Court. To now imagine that an SAN is leading this group. I'm surprised. The court is saying, hey, based on what happened in the appeal court cases, don't you think it's better for you guys? Because it was even their lawyer that sought that appeal. And the court, rather than following the process of reconciliation, they delayed until 4 days ago. You know the plan? The plan is that we will be waiting. Time will lap. The caretaker committee tenure will expire on Friday. People don't have leadership. So we will not be on the ballot. A lot of them are already in ADC. So their intention here is to blackmail people and make sure that we do not have a legitimate platform to run the election. They were outsmarted. Let me give you some kind of Ibadan Convention. Who was the secretary? Senator Benobi. He left PDP for ADC a week after Ibadan Convention. There was no judgment. So what they did was that there are those who genuinely have grudges, but those who have made up their mind because their candidate cannot have PDP candidate, their preferred candidate cannot have PDP ticket that got to ADC. So it's about one individual who must have presidential ticket.
Oh.
It's article they are working for.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I thought the allegation was that Governor Sheyi Makinde wanted to run.
I say some. I'm sorry, he just allowed too much of ego. He was used in this battle. He thought he was using them. They were using him. So I can tell you, okay, what about, how many governors were in Ibadan? And after Ibadan, a week after, how many left? Who was the chairman zoning committee of the where are they? So every one of them had their agenda. So you know that the country working, we are fighting Wike and what time. So since Wike had come out to say I'm supporting Tinubu, it becomes the very, very easy target of the reason why we are fighting. I'm in PDP and I'm not supporting Tinubu. Does it mean that because supporting Tinubu I will leave PDP? No, he has his right. So they are now using that because they want a preferred choice person as special candidate. He cannot get it. So their intention is that we'll make PDP unavailable in the ballot so that people who want to run an election, we have no choice than to port to them.
So where does Governor Bala Mohammed come in this? Because you say Governor Sheyi's situation is isolated and there are people working for Atiku. Are you saying that Bala Mohammed was not entirely supporting Makinde as well? He's
supporting Makinde, but Bala Mohammed, before he bad the convention, I can say clearly here, was in support of that arrangement to have a caretaker. For Sheyi alone that refused. Damagu was in support of that. For Sheyi alone that refused. And unfortunately, I don't know how. If at a point they even say, okay, let's go to Ibadan and make it and set up a caretaker committee. Rather than having a convention. They got there, they insisted on convention. So I'm not saying everybody on that side had this agenda of liquidating PDP, so ADC will be on the plan. But there are some who don't know, genuinely, they are not aware they are being used. But those who are the orchestra, those who are playing behind the scene, know what they are doing. The plan is that primaries will be coming very soon. So what they are angry about, okay, let me tell you sincerely, if they genuinely love PDP, primaries will start in this month, April. Today is 31st of March. They are going to our Supreme Court. When you have not filed notice of appeal, you have not filed your appeal. When you file your appeal, when are you filing that? Where is the Supreme Court sitting? By implication, you don't want PDP to have. We know the game. So they are surprised. God in defeating Mercy made them stumble and took some very wrong steps.
You know, every time you say that that other group doesn't want PDP on the ballot, I question what Governor Bala Mohammed had said. Yes, Governor Minister Nyesom Wike is supporting the president, but the other side of it is that he's being accused of not wanting PDP to produce a presidential candidate. So it's a little confusing.
If the 12 governors stood their ground, can you stop them from having a presidential candidate? No. ACN in 2011 supported Jonathan. Didn't they have a presidential candidate? Tinubu supported Jonathan. And Ribadu was still on the ballot for them. So if they stand there, must you run away when you are confronted with challenges? I even prefer those who come out to state their position rather than hiding behind the other. I don't want to mention some names. In the last election, we are aware that Wike and Kusi are not supporting Atiku. We are aware of those who are in this party who didn't show them their face as opposing Atiku, who didn't work for him. So it's not better that he even comes out. But like he was in Obasanjo's government, he was still attending the meetings. Ogbonneyan was ANPP national chairman. And it was in Obasanjo's government.
But we must speak. But we must speak to the state of the PDP as it is, and whether it stands any chance to win a major seat at any level now. And one of the reasons I ask this is, I saw the convention. It was, I wouldn't say a shadow of itself, but not entirely the kind of crowd the PDP would normally pull. And that's largely because of the fragmentation.
Were you there?
I was. Channels Television was live.
They were there. You were not there. Ask those who were there.
You say that the crowd at the PDP convention,
don't forget that,
counts compared to the previous conventions?
Hold on. Were you there? If you're not there, ask Sheung.
I said we were live.
I was there. They were there with us. And we're comparing, we're analyzing the conventions before now. Don't forget it's a delegate convention.
Absolutely.
It's not an open convention. The whole of Kogi still has 68 delegates. The whole of Kogi. So don't forget that. And don't forget the fact that we had the presidential primary at the Velodrome. Have you forgotten? The 2022 presidential primary. So what's the difference between that and what happened?
Well, it's in your place to decide whether you're comfortable. What was the difference? No, I'm saying it's in your place as a party member.
No, because when you say...
No, I'm saying I'm comparing. I'm comparing. You feel comfortable with the numbers, that's fine. I'm just comparing.
No, I'm trying to make you understand because opinion, like perception, commit reality to people.
Yes.
I'm trying to make you understand that it is not a convention that is open, it is delegate election, and that we have presidential primaries
coming up.
The same venue.
Yes.
No, in 2022, we use the same venue for presidential primary. It was the same number.
Well, it's fine. If you feel that.
What you can say is that we are not. Let me come in here. Let me answer you the way you are going. I will not deceive myself that PDP is what it used to be, at all. And I'm not deceiving myself that we had enough momentum to be where we're supposed to be. However, 24 hours in politics is huge.
Absolutely.
Candidates that emerge will govern. So don't forget that when candidates emerge, what makes political party is the activity of the main actors. Let primary begin. And don't forget something. APC is seen as, or ADC, no, APC, let me focus on APC, is seen as a part, 31 governors and what have you. 60% of those who move there are moved by ambition, desire to say, government in the power could win. Let the chiefs down, let tickets start coming out. You'll be shocked. Those who will run back. Before we went to the ground on the Saturday, on Sunday, I know those who ran back to PDP. The moment INEC has updated their profile about the National High School. Every politician that wants to run the election want to be sure that what happened in Zamfara or Plateau will not happen to them. And that's where I question my other brothers. If we had allowed Ibadan to stand, anybody running an election against the PDP candidate will just wait. After the election, you approach the court. So what, rather than crucifying those who challenge them, make sure we have this conversation, we thank them that they save us from imminent crisis that will happen tomorrow. We are focused more on ego now. I didn't have my way, but just imagine what happened in Zamfara. APC won PDP went to court and took all the victory.
Yes.
Plateau State Assembly, National Assembly members all lost because of this similar thing.
I give it to the People's Democratic Party. Just like I just finished speaking with Barrister Felix Morka, and I told him that conventions that held over the weekend were quite largely peaceful, and the PDP seemed to have a free-flowing one. You're returning already existing, and INEC has gone on to acknowledge, to recognize. But I want to ask a question, which was quite evident, that I could be wrong as well, but this is perhaps the only convention that the PDP as an opposition party has held, and I didn't hear narratives suggesting that they want to unseat the APC government. Because
we have so much internal crisis that the steam, the energy to fight APC has to be taken out. Look at what happened in Plateau. I should be here discussing that. I should be on TV, on national issues, questioning the policy of the government. But we are dissipating energy on convention or no convention. And these are the things that change the narrative. These are the people, what people will hear, because so this party is serious. So the crisis, the needless crisis. After the Damago's issue, he came out with want to remove Ayanwo. For what? What was the reason to remove the secretary? We did that for over 1.5 years, then the convention. So it was 2027 plan. Who controlled the soul of the party? Ambition was what laid the foundation of those crises. And it took us this long. What I keep telling people is, in the midst of all this, very few parties will go through this and survive it.
Well, let me ask you a quick question just as we wrap this up. Are you comfortable under the leadership of Nyesom Wike, who is now considered national leader, whom we know supports the president, you don't support the president, whom we know hosted the APC and the PDP delegates from the state? Is it not confusing? Are you comfortable with that kind of leadership?
Let me make something clear.
Yeah.
Every politician is local. I'm here today because I was able to convince my people at my local place. There are better people, more intelligent than me, who didn't win the election, who are not having this platform. So you must realize that whatever is happening politically, you have to do with the local issues. And like I said about it, I am not comfortable with PDP.
As it is.
As it is. But I know there's a lot of work to do. And I don't like the idea of reducing a political party to one particular election alone. No. This APC were acing and what have you for how many years? At a point in 2011, 2015, when they were forming 88, how many governors do they have? Go and check. They have Amakura, APC 1. They have Rochas, Abga, what have you, 1. But
that doesn't answer my question about
I'm coming to that.
And the reason I asked that is that we saw the minister's position on the FCT Council elections. Is that I'm coming to
that. I'm trying to explain to you that I cannot, in good conscience, begin to fight him over that. He has a right to it. So don't forget, I'm a party man. How did you get to him taking that position? Because if we treat the symptom without treating the root cause, I will refuse to zone presidency. If we are zone presidency, don't forget, again, I'll take you back to history. 2014, Atiku led some people out of PDP that president should go to the north. 2019, we zoned to the north. Nobody from the south contested. 2023 again. So the consequences of our inaction or action is what led to that. So I agree with you. It affects the PDP and the way we are being perceived. I agree with you. But I want to Nigerians to realize that there are some of us who remain in PDP, who vote PDP at all life, and that you do not jettison your house and leave your house when there is crisis. We stay in struggle, maneuver. Politics is about conspiracy at every point.
Honorable TJ Yusuf, Tajuddin Yusuf, thank you very much for your time. I would love to speak with you more on your political ambition, because I know you wanted to be a senator, but that's a conversation for another day.
For now.
Thank you very much for coming on Political Paradigm.
Thank you.
I've been speaking with Honorable Tajuddin Yusuf, who is a former member of the House of Representatives and a member of the People's Democratic Party. If you'd like to catch this conversation again, go to YouTube and search Political Paradigm, or simply go to channelstv.com. You can catch previous conversations as well. I'm Terry Kumi. Goodbye.